Look at here. Just when you thought you were rid of us, we're back. Now I'm the one with the technical issues. Months can go by and there's still something going on.
People would be disappointed if it wasn't.
Yeah, I have no idea why my screen is flashing, everybody. We're going to make a change on my computer just before we started. It seemed to have settled down, but, again, it's like 1964 watching TV, Rabbit ears used to flicker a little bit. Hopefully it'll settle. Anyway, welcome, everybody. It's Eddie, it's Don, it's Jim, it's That Rocks. And, we are here to hang with you guys for a bit and say hello and say happy holidays and all of that. And appreciate you hanging with the channel, and we thought we'd come on and just give you a quick hello and maybe a little year-end recap and check in with you before Christmas. So here we are. Donnie boy, what's going on?
Just same, man. Just getting ready for the big holidays and going out on the road, doing a bunch of stuff, and obviously the big weekend last weekend, the big Eddie Trunk 40th birthday weekend in Las Vegas.
Birthday. Jesus God, did you do that just to mess with me?
Of course.
It makes me so nuts when people kept saying it was my birthday thing. I wish I was 40 years old. I wish I was 40.
Jim, we missed
insane. You. Yeah, I know. Me and my son are big football fans, Dolphin fans, and they only had one Monday night game this whole fucking year.
Yeah.
And I got my kid tickets when they were, probably like in July. They released the schedules. We pick a bunch of games to go to, and it was on Monday, December 11th. I'm bringing my nephew, my other brother's going. We got hotels, all this shit. So, and then Eddie's birthday, his 40th birthday party is December 11th.
My birthday's in August.
And I know Don went to the Raiders and Raiders and Vikings game in Vegas, and it was a 3-0 game. This game that I went to was worse. Miami lost 28-27. They scored 14 points. The 4-8 Titans in the last 3 minutes of the game.
The only good thing about the game was going with Brian Slagle and Kerry King, and having all the VIP fancy schmancy buffet and open bar and all that stuff. But yeah, that game was brutal. Geezer was there. They put him up on the big screen, and my first time to Allegiant Stadium. So. A shit game, but with two great dudes, and they took care of us there, man. They let us go into their speakeasy in the middle of the stadium, and they treated us like kings. But that game was awful.
Kerry King's a big Raiders fan, right? Kerry's
when he came into Eddie's. Eddie did a dinner on what was it, Sunday night. Kerry came in and took his jersey off, and he just threw it on the floor in disgust.
He did?
Yeah.
That's great.
So
there it is.
So I went to a game with Kerry and Brian earlier this year, the game they played with the Packers, which was great, by the way. I went to a game with them, and those seats are incredible, and you get all those great free food and all of that. And what's crazy is Mark Davis, the owner of the Raiders, was at my party. And we talked. I talked to him a little bit backstage during the party. And I was like, you know something, man? I said, I went to a game at your stadium. I said, I'm a Giant fan. I said, but I went to a Raiders game. And I said, I got to give you all the credit in the world because you guys know how to do it right. I mean, from the intro to the build to the way they built the stadium to all the in-game stuff to the suites to everything. And Slagle and Brian have unbelievable seats. I mean, they're in a great location. So, I had that experience, Don. It was great. You know what's crazy? I don't know if they did it when you were there, Don, but because the alcohol is free back in the club, Kerry and Brian spend more time in the club than they do in the seats actually watching the game. I was there for a half an hour. I was there for a first half. Brian was coming from somewhere else. He hadn't gotten there yet. And Kerry gets up at the start of third quarter. And he's gone for the whole second half. He's like, I go sit in the club. Mike.
Yeah. That was funny because we did go back to the speakeasy and during halftime, they have a live band there, which I think is really cool. A live band plays instead of a DJ blaring the music. They actually have a live band, and we were sitting in there, and they showed up on the screen because they knew Kerry was there, And the band is very Vegas-y. They're all dressed up, very formally. There's cellos, violins, harps, and we look up and it just says, South of Heaven. So the band had to play South of Heaven, and people are playing violins and cellos and stuff. So that was pretty funny.
And the owner, Mark Davis, had what's her name, the blonde girl that was in Alice Cooper's band, in his box. I guess he's friends with her.
Yeah,
not Nita Strauss, the other one. No, not Nita. Yeah, her. Yeah.
I think they're dating.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I think that's what's going on, because that's what his hook was for coming to my party too, because she played. So he was there with her. So he was at the Sphere with her at U2. I believe, not 100%. I don't know how openly public it is, but I believe they're dating.
Did she help him with his haircut at least?
When you got that kind of money, you can have any kind of hair you want.
I know.
Man.
No, I did not. That's a haircut from a third grader.
He's a nice guy. I got to talk to him for a little bit, and then I hosted a thing for Chris Angel last Monday, and he was there as well in the audience for a bit, and seems like a good guy. But yeah, I mean, I'm so down on what they did with the new Giant Stadium and what it looks like and the vibe, and I think it's what they did at Allegiant is great, and those are amazing seats to sit there.
Don, you went to that game.
Photo.
Don, wait, Don, you went to that game.
Snake guy, by the way.
What's that?
The other guy, there's a fourth guy. He was on the end of that picture with Don.
Oh,
he was with us too. Nice guy. He's Kerry, that guy on the end there looking in with the gray hair.
The guy that looks like John Kerry.
His history is apparently Kerry King was at one point collected snakes, and he was the guy, his broker for rare snakes or something.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
Don, you went to that game 3-0, the worst game ever, and the following week in the same stadium, the Raiders scored 63 points.
No,
you couldn't have been at that game.
The Jets scored 30 points that day. The Raiders couldn't score any. They couldn't.
Yeah.
Two safeties would have won that game, but like I said, it was great to have all the perks in a game that bad. And by the fourth quarter, the three of us were literally just laughing the whole time. It was just so painfully bad.
Yeah, Jim, it was funny when you told me you couldn't come to the party because you were going to a Monday night game. It threw me because the Giants were on Monday Night Football the night of my party. I'm like, but it was the one time there were two Monday night games, which was weird too.
Yeah, they do it early in the season too, but yet it was two Monday night games that night.
Yeah. Well, you missed a great time. I mean, people are still buzzing about the thing. It's crazy how well it went off. It was a lot of craziness and stress leading into it, but once we got it up and running, man, 3.5 hours went by like that. And the word I kept using for it and still using is surreal, because it's just insane to me to think that all these guys showed up and performed, and you had combinations of people you probably never will see again. To have Geezer there was just beyond belief. Who knows when he'll ever play again. To have Alice come on board, Sammy, Michael, Ace, I mean, everybody, all, Kip Winger playing bass, Orianthi. I mean, all these people, it was just Jesse James Dupree came out, did AC/DC, Annihilated, Lita Ford, Piercy, Bach. It's just crazy. Kevin Cronin, Corey Taylor, Jay Buchanan, Kevin Cronin, that did 2 REO songs, and tons of people talking about how great he was. And he had the greatest time, and he just came out and sang. Killer band, my buddy Stoney playing guitar for him with Brent. I mean, it was so, so great. And there's tons of stuff on YouTube that people shot, but we filmed the whole thing professionally, multi-camera, multi-audio recording. So we have the whole thing. And I don't know what we're going to do with it. We'll start getting into it in the new year. Obviously, it gets tricky with clearances and stuff, but they also shot all of the sound check stuff, all of the rehearsal day. So there's a full 4-hour documentary if we want to do it, and we can get it together and get the clearances to do it. But look, it's not me saying it because it sounds like I would just be saying it. But in the last 2 weeks since it happened, I mean, every single person I talked to has been nothing but positive. People have said it's the show of the year. Some people said it's the best show they ever saw in their life. It's just crazy. I mean, it's just and I said this on the stage, and it's important for people to know, not one person was paid. And I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to go reach out to people, make deals, talk to agents, saying I need to book this guy. I wanted people to show up because they wanted to be there. I didn't twist arms. I just threw out invites. And that makes it even more special because those are people that wanted to be there and could be there. And also the last part about this is because I wasn't paying anyone, I didn't want to make any money. So I gave all the proceeds to the DL Cancer Fund. And we just gave a rough estimation, and it's looking like the donation after we cover our expenses is going to be somewhere close to $70,000 to the Cancer Fund. So it was a win-win all the way around. It really was. It was an amazing night. Jim, it sucked you couldn't be there. Don, I'm glad you came. I barely got to see anyone. That was that was the only negative for me. I got friends that came from New Jersey, just old friends, coworkers. Never saw like any of them because there's 1,500 people. I went in. I ended up kind of hosting my own party, which wasn't supposed to happen. So I couldn't get off of the stage. I watched the whole show from the wings. By the time I got out afterwards, it was an hour after the show. I walked out. There's like 300 people in the casino. I stopped and talked to. Ran into a few friends at the bar in the middle of the room in the casino. But outside of that, I saw Don because you came to the dinner and stuff, but there were tons of people that I never saw the entire night. And that's the only bummer because you just can't see everybody, but it was great.
It was funny at the dinner. So I was at the table with Ace and David Ellefson, and everyone's talking, and Ace has got his girlfriend with him, and everyone's having a good time and laughing. And Brent was at the table there. Yeah. And we're telling stories. And after about 10 minutes, Ace just looks over at me. He goes, "You look really familiar. Who are you?"
Sounds like Ace.
Yeah. And I go, Don Jameson. I used to do that metal show with Eddie. I've done my podcast like 4 times. You're the comedian guy. Oh, yeah. Okay. And, I told him I had just done a podcast about Kiss on the Tom Snyder show back in 79 when Ace and Peter were drunk. And he was starting to remember that stuff. And then he really warmed up. And then at the end of the night, we were all leaving. And he goes, "Let's have a joke off." So here I am, a lifelong Kiss fan since I'm like 11 years old, and Ace Frehley and I are going back and forth trading jokes to see who could tell better jokes. So that made that whole night, man. That was awesome.
And there again, Ace lives in New Jersey, flew all the way to Vegas on his own just to come and play, hang out. Just means the world to me. And that dinner, I did a small dinner. Well, not probably 50, 100 people there the night before, just for like some of the band guys and stuff. Because again, all these guys donated their time and stuff. So I said, let me at least give them a good meal, have a little hang beforehand. And got to thank my buddy Ron Mancuso, Bootlegger Bistro. That's where we did the dinner in one of the private rooms there. And it was just a great way to warm up and get ready for the next day. So that turned out to be a good thing too. And I was glad we did that.
Yeah, I saw a lot of the footage on YouTube from the show. It looked amazing.
You open with Sabbath Bloody Sabbath with Jay from Rival Sons, Mike Portnoy on drums, Brent Woods on guitar, and Geezer. And then Jay comes off and Corey Taylor comes out and they did The Wizard. How do you – what a way to open a show, And then Michael did his own set of old Van Halen, and Sebastian came out and sang with them. And then Michael came out, jammed with Alice Cooper on School's Out, which was a huge highlight for Michael. And that's what people are talking about, like the interaction of everything. Like you don't see that all that often. But Michael Anthony was like, I sent him a photo of him playing with Alice, and he's just like, this was a dream for me. I always had wanted to do that. Sammy came out, did his own set, like 5 songs. It's just crazy. It's just so surreal, everything that went on. And I'm so glad we have it documented because I didn't get to watch it from the front, and everybody said it looked and sounded amazing. So I can't wait to watch the video of it. But
how long did the show go for?
3.5. We started.
Holy shit.
Yeah, we started talking. We did a little Wendy. I wanted to bring Wendy up because she wanted to say a few words about the Cancer Fund. And my friend Chris Angel, who had a benefit at the same place exactly a week later, this past Monday, which I hosted, Chris has his own pediatric cancer thing. So he wanted to come and talk about that. So we did that real quick. But we were really, I'll tell you, we had to cut a lot of stuff. And we cut almost at least a song off of everybody that played to get it to 3.5. And we had to because we had announced the music starting at 8. So we didn't want to start too much earlier. And then the other thing was we had a curfew of 11:30. So if we went a minute past 11:30, we would incur like a $15,000 charge. So we were really worried about getting everything in. That's the other reason why we wanted to just keep it moving. We didn't have a host of any kind. We just needed to try to get it all in because we were cutting songs. There were a ton of people in the audience that were in bands that wanted to play that never got up. We couldn't, we had no spot for them. I mean, Michael Wilton from Queensryche, Jakey Lee, Andrew Freeman, Stacey Blades, all these guys, tons more were just hanging out. We just didn't have a slot for them. We couldn't make any more time. So we did the best we could, and we had to cut some stuff back, unfortunately, but we ended at 11:28, and right to the second we ended. And it was funny because everyone was having such a great time. I was like, we got to end or it's going to cost $15,000. And a friend of mine, Chuck Brennan, he owns Dollar Loan Centers, very wealthy guy. And I saw him at the corner of my eye, and he looks at me and he pulls out his wallet. He goes, "I got it if you want to keep going." He was willing to write the check.
Yeah.
And I just looked at Brent, who did an amazing job. Our friend Brent Woods did putting the music together along with Mike Portnoy. And Brent, is like that old adage, you don't want to stay too long at the party, It couldn't get better. Let's not exhaust everybody and let's cut it right there. So that's what we did.
Yeah, talking to Brent and Portnoy at the dinner the night before, they were in a great mood, but they were in a tough spot because, putting together that many musicians and that many egos and trying to work in who's going to play where, when, and with who is like trying to see people at a wedding. There's certain people just don't want to play with this one. This one wants to go on. Geezer wanted to be in bed by 8:30, so he's got to go on first. And everybody had their own particular thing, which, you're a performer, you have that right. But these two guys had to juggle all those. But Ed, I can tell you from the audience point of view, the show ran so smoothly, you would have never known there was anything else going on backstage. They'd come out, play a couple songs. You'd come out and go, "Hey, give it up for those guys." Bada, bada bing, bada boom. Next thing you know, the next group is out there and they're playing. And there was no moments in the night where you were sort of, milling around going, "What's going on? Are there more bands?" It was boom, 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 boom. And everybody sounded great. Honestly, man, it was an unbelievable show.
Yeah, I mean, there a lot of people told me it was the show of the year. There are people who said it was one of the greatest shows they ever saw in their life. And the reason why I got to move like that too is because everybody made a deal on the drums, because a big thing that kills time is changing drum kits out. So we had Glenn Sobel play, we had Brent Fitz play, we had Portnoy play, we had like 3-4 different drummers, and they all agreed to play the same kit. So that saved a lot of time. But you're right, Don. I mean, I'm not going to lie. This thing took years off of my life and probably a couple other people's lives because it was stress for like a month. The couple days before the thing, man, I was in a knot because, look, Brent did the lion's share of the work because Mike was on tour this time around. Mike was out with the Winery. By the way, how could I forget the Winery Dogs did the set? They did 2 songs, the whole band. So, and Richie played Ain't Talking About Love with Michael Anthony, which was crazy. But Brent had to do a lot of the day-to-day because Mike was on the road. Mike helped out where he could help out. But these guys kept saying to me, Mike kept saying, "We got to have surprises for you, surprises." There were no surprises because every single band went through me. Like, I knew they were all coming. I'm in touch with all of those people. So that's how it happened. And then what I would do is I would just take whoever RSVP'd and say, hand it off to Brent. And then Brent would have to patch that all together and make a set list. And you're right. Sammy even though Sammy was the only announced act with Michael, he didn't want to go on last. He wanted to be on early. Geezer wanted to be early. So Brent said, let's just open with Geezer. Alice obviously didn't want to go on at 11 o'clock. So he was somewhere in the middle. And it ended up being Ace closed. And then Brad Gillis, who came out and ripped Don't Tell Me You Love Me with Robert Mason singing, and then Crazy Train. And the story there is that Night Ranger was actually coming, Jack and Kelly, and they were actually going to do a Night Ranger set. The last minute, Jack and Kelly weren't feeling well. They canceled, and Brad was like, I want to play anyway. Somebody's got to find me something to do. So that's why that was a very last minute thing. Alice Cooper only came on like a week and a half before the event. I had Alice on my radio show, and I brought it up to him like 2 months ago. And he's like, oh, yeah, I'll come do that for you. And you don't know if people are just saying that to be nice or what. And then like a week and a half out, I sent a message to his manager, and I said, hey, I don't know if Alice was serious, but this is in a week and a half. Does he want to do it still? And got right back to me, and he said, oh, yeah, he wants to do it. Send me the details. It was like crazy. So
what songs did he do besides School's Out?
No More Mr. Nice Guy.
Okay.
And
so he did 3?
I think, was it $1 Billion Babies?
No, he did Under My Wheels.
Under My Wheels, School's Out, and No More Mr. Nice Guy. I wanted $1 Billion Babies, but they didn't want to do it. But he had Glenn Sobel with him. Orianthi was there. Brent played second guitar. It was crazy. I mean, just the whole thing is, again, the word I keep going back to is surreal that all happened. And look, man, I don't know if I'll still be drawing breath when I'm in this at 50, but I mean, I don't know if everybody's like, you got to do a 45th, you got to do a 50. I go, I don't know how much longer I'm going to work. I don't know how much longer I'm going to be alive, but you know, if I get to if I did one for 45 or I did one for 50, I honestly don't know how that could be topped. What happened? Because I did 25 years. That was Priest playing private. That was crazy. I did 30. Ace and Peter played Winery Dogs, tons of jams. But this, with all respect to the other ones, this was a whole different thing. This was beyond my comprehension. Even it was crazy.
I still have the set list from the Priest 25th show. Anniversary
I'd like
show.
to see that. I don't remember what they played. It was like 6, 7 songs, right?
Yeah, I think it was 6 songs.
By the way, changing subjects, how good is the new Priest stuff? I like those 2 songs a lot.
Really good.
Yeah. I think it's really good.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that record. Had a chance to talk to Ian Hill and Richie Faulkner at Power Trip. We don't think we've been on since Power Trip, but I did a radio special from Power Trip, so I had a chance to see those guys there, and that's a whole nother story. Like, all right, just getting into talking about some other stuff, like some of the things that we're looking forward to in 24, or we hope for in 24. And the biggest thing is, I had heard AC/DC were going to do more shows coming off Power Trip, but so far nothing. And I wonder if they did that show at Power Trip and they were kind of like, shit, we can't do this anymore. You know, like we're exhausted. And they pulled it, or they're just waiting to announce it. I'm not sure.
There was some report in Germany that some city council guy announced like AC/DC was playing there in June at some stadium. He let it slip. So I don't know, but it's some festival over in Germany or something like that.
I know for a fact that there were holds for dates for festival stadium dates, but that doesn't mean they're going to go through with it. And I don't know. I mean, obviously they could put a show on sale a week before and it'll sell out because they're so big. But I'm just shocked that they didn't announce it already, and I just wonder if they still plan to do it.
Yeah, you never know. You know what the last thing on the party was, which was funny, was so Jim, you know his buddy Doug Burgess from Tulsa.
Yeah,
he had an after party in his suite. And so he's like, I'll come up to the suite. I go, what room? Whatever, 1687. So I'm with Danny Coker and his wife Corey, and we're like, yeah, let's go up to the after party. And we get in the elevator. Now, you can't get to this floor just with a regular key, at the Mandalay Bay. This is on the top. It's like a 3-story penthouse suite at the very top of the building. So you need like 9 different keys to get up there, and an escort. And so we didn't know how to get up. And there's 2 towers, so you didn't know which one it was in. So Danny and Corey and I spent about 45 minutes going up and down the elevators, just trying to get there. We finally got to it was like on the 57th floor. We got to like the 52nd floor, and we had to finally get off, and we couldn't find anybody to get us all the way up. So we're walking up and down the hallways looking for staircases. And people are walking by and they're going, is that Danny Coker? Is that the count? The counting cars guy. And finally we found where the housekeeping, the freight elevators were. And we went in there and we hit 61 where Doug was, and it lit up. And that's how the 3 of us got up to Doug's suite for the party, is we finally found a freight elevator. I go, look at this. Yeah, in show business, and we're riding on the freight elevator, but we made it.
Yeah, it was, and I got to thank Doug, and I got to thank my buddy Scotty Ludwig. They put Scotty put so much work, and still is working on it as far as settling stuff and the day to day of all of it leading into it. I mean, Scotty was invaluable behind the scenes. Brent was invaluable as far as the music, and then Doug helped out Scotty, and Mike helped out Brent. It was just, yeah, I was not going to do anything like this for this event. I was going to just, speaking of Count and Corey, I was just going to rent out Vamped and have friends and have some drinks. But Doug was the one. He's like, you made it 40 years in radio, man. You got to do something. So I'm glad he talked me into it. But I was like, there's no way I'm going to do it unless you guys want to work on it and really help me, because I just couldn't take it all on, and I could not have done it without those guys. So that was a huge, huge help.
Yeah, and then it's easier for you to do it in Vegas to get all those artists. They're not, all those guys weren't going to fly to New York, most likely. They all live in Vegas or LA, so it was easier for those guys.
There wasn't even a consideration for me of another place to do it. I mean, there were a couple people that said to me, well, you started in New York, New Jersey. Why didn't you do there? I mean, first of all, nobody lives here anymore. It's way harder to get people here. There's more people living in Vegas now. And obviously you're super close to LA, and you're fairly close to Arizona where some people live. So that was the no-brainer. And also it was a no-brainer just because it's my favorite place and I have a second home there now. So, and I love House of Blues venues. They're always the best place to see a show. Great sound, perfect size, great lights. And I go to that House of Blues so much. So I worked with them and was able to lock up a date for it. And it was fantastic. And like I said, I was there the following Monday, just this past Monday, second year in a row. I hosted a show for Chris Angel for the Pediatric Cancer Fund that he does in the name of his son. And that a lot of the same people were there, not everybody, but Piercy, Bach, Phil Lewis, Dee Snider came out and did a song. But the night was headlined by Robin Zander doing like 11 Cheap Trick songs. And it was just, I don't need to tell you guys how great Robin still is. It's crazy, crazy, crazy great how great he is.
All right. So anything we need to wrap up from the year in music here, or what we're looking forward to, or any albums or tours stand out for you guys in 2023? Obviously, Power Trip is a big one for a lot of people. Metallica.
I didn't
continue into the new year.
Yeah, I mean, Power Trip I went to and did a special from. I don't know, maybe it's just because I'm 59 years old. Festivals, I don't even care, even if it's just two bands. Festivals are a lot. Festivals are, to me, it's a lot to get through. I mean, I see these festivals get announced, and it's great for younger people, but I see like 50 bands, 6 stages a day. It's like, I just can't do that stuff. It's a tune out to me. It's just overkill. So the thing I loved about Power Trip was it was only 2 bands a day, but even that was a lot. It was hot. It was dusty. And I was in the pit, the closest you could be, and I was still 4 football fields away from the stage. So that whole environment to me is kind of like tough as you get older, I think. But performance-wise, it was great. And I thought AC/DC did a good job there. For me, as obviously what we just talked about, my event was, for so many reasons, hugely important and went over hugely great for me. And everybody else. I mean, that's the best thing about it, though. It's everybody saying how great it was. So that's cool. As far as music is concerned, I mean, a couple records that come to mind immediately is I love Rival Sons. They put out 2 records this year, Dark Fighter and Lightbringer. Dark Fighter I like a little better than Lightbringer, but Lightbringer's newer, so I'm still listening to it. But those are 2 of my favorite records. And also, something that comes to mind immediately is the new album from Dirty Honey, Can't Find the Breaks. Been on board with these guys since day one. I was one of their first radio interviews, and I just love seeing how they're growing and getting bigger. I saw them headline a club in Vegas a month ago, and their new album is really, really good. And they're younger guys that are totally old school. They plug in and play, no bullshit, no nothing. And I love what they stand for, and I think they're a great bluesy hard rock band. So off the top of my head, those are the Rival Sons records, and that Dirty Honey record are favorites of mine that just immediately hit me without really doing any thought.
Yeah, the Dirty Honey record's great. That's the only one that's on my list. I don't know what else. The Danko Jones record is pretty good that he put out, but I don't know. To To me, there wasn't that many
How do
releases
you not
for me
know?
in 2023. You know, I'm looking forward to seeing Pantera to play in Madison Square Garden in February. I didn't see him over the summer with Metallica, so I'll see that for the first time. But that's about it for me.
By the way, real quick, back to my party. We can't not give a shout out to our comedy hero Andrew Dice Clay. Dice made a video. If you've seen his insanely hysterical videos he posts, walking around messing with people on the street, he did one for me for my 40th party that we ran in the party, and I since have posted it on my social media.
It's great.
Insanely cool of Dice to do that for me. So, I went to see Dice at the Wiltern in LA a month or two ago, whenever it was. And after the show, I'm talking to him, and he had a bunch of people back there. And I said to Dice, I go, "Hey, Dice, I invited him to the party. Of course, he couldn't come. And I was like, hey, will you maybe do a video or something?" And he just goes, this guy is funny. He goes, "No more filming, no more videos. I'm not even doing nothing. No more videos, no more cameos. Stop with the videos. No more videos." And he storms off. No problem. So he leaves. We leave. I go, "Dice, sorry, no problem." Hour later, he texts me, "So when do you need the video by?"
Oh, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, it's just, and I saw his kids, Max and Dylan, who are still doing their band, Still Rebel, and Dice comes out to one of their songs, which was really, really good. So Max told me it was their song. So I said to Max, I said, give me a song, give me the song, and I played it for him on my Hair Nation show. So they were very happy about that. But good to see they're still plugging away too.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely give those guys a plug. A couple records from me, Phil Campbell and the Bastard Sons. Phil from Motorhead, continuing on now, third full-length album with literally his sons, three of his sons in the band, and they're really, really great. And it's just good to see, Mickey D's, out playing with the Scorpions, and Phil's out doing his band with his sons. So give a shout out to those guys. The album's called Kings of the Asylum. If you want to put that up, Andy, we got I think I sent you the album cover for that. Yeah, there it is. Great album. Pick it up. Obviously there's a lot of the riffs are Motorhead sounding, because how could they not? Another album that came out is Prong. Love Tommy Victor. He's still making great records under the banner of Prong. Of course, he's the only original member. This album came out in 2023, State of Emergency. People should check that out. Of course, one of our Can Get Eddie guess the death metal logo bands, Sanguisugabog with Homicidal Ecstasy.
I did that?
Yeah, you did that one.
Wow.
And you didn't even come close.
Yeah, you can't.
How could you?
The greatest logo in the history of bands is Sanguisugabog. So if you like death metal, check out these guys. They're just stoner guys from Dayton, Ohio, but they're rising up pretty quickly now, and they're getting really popular on the road now with Cattle Decapitation. Jared James Nichols, there's Catatonia, a proggy doom band from Sweden that I love. Check them out. Jared James Nichols, who's a young, sort of bluesy hard rock guy. He put out a great album, just a self-titled album. And he's really great too. Check him out. He's a monster on guitar. So those are my picks for 2023.
What I got over here?
What do you got?
Jared James Nichols guitar. Look at that thing, huh?
There you go.
See that? Love
Nice.
Jared. He's great. Yeah, I did not. We didn't prepare anything, so I didn't know we were doing a top album thing or whatever. But we should mention KK's Priest's record, second record.
That's right. That's a good one. Yeah,
That's
I forgot
good.
about that.
And touring in the U.S. next year.
Yeah, and on the Monsters of Rock cruise with us, so that's cool. We'll get to see him there.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously the Metallica record, 72 Seasons.
Yeah.
I think the Overkill record came out in 23, I believe, the latest one, Scorched.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't really put a lot of thought into a retrospective thing, but those are some things that come to me off the top of my head. I mean, the stuff I'm listening to the most though is the Dirty Honey and the two Rival Sons records are probably the ones I've been listening to the most this year.
I'm still trying to drill in that Metallica record. It's a grower. It doesn't hit you right over the head with it right off the bat, and that usually doesn't happen with a Metallica record. Usually it's right away. I like it, but this it's taken a little while.
I don't usually Metallica records always take a while for me. So
yeah, and the other one, that we talked a lot about in previous shows was the Stones, Hackney Diamonds. That is a legitimately great record. And now, Ed, you might have insight on this. To me, I think Mick's voice sounds amazing, and I heard then somebody had said like maybe they had used AI to replicate his voice, and if that's the case, that'd be really sad because I really want it to be him, 80-year-old Mick still, throwing it down in the studio.
No, because he does it live. I saw those guys live 2 years ago, and he was phenomenal. He was definitely singing the whole time. So, and they're going out on tour again, so they're not using an AI voice on that.
I've not heard that. I mean, obviously there was some talk about that with that Beatles song that came out, but they kind of shot that down too. What they said they used, I didn't hear anything about that with the Stones, but what they said they did with the Beatles song, where the AI part of it came in, was they had a recording of a cassette demo of John Lennon's voice, and it had all this other stuff around it, and they just wanted to pull his vocal out and get rid of everything else. And the technology didn't exist to do that from a cassette, but with AI they were able to do it. So they used technology to pull the vocal out, but actually not actually recreate the vocal. So that's why, but I didn't hear anything about that on the Stones. But I love that the video too for the Stones for that first song was just, hot chick driving around in the car, just old school. I thought that was real good too.
Yeah, that chick's real. I think we got a couple of questions.
Sydney Sweeney is her name. She's an actress.
Yeah, before we get out of here.
There's a movie, if you like her, on Amazon Prime called Voyeurs. I can highly, highly recommend.
Is she naked in it?
Yes.
And then some.
Highly.
What's it called?
Not like I watched it a few times, but it might happen at the 1 hour, 22-minute mark. I don't.
Eddie missed a skin trunk.
When you go, when you check out of something on, when you're streaming something and you leave it, and then if you come back, it'll say, "Would you like to resume?"
Yeah.
Every time I go on Amazon Prime, it always wants to resume from that point.
Hey, what's up, Nathan?
What's it? Wait, it's called Voyeurs?
Yeah.
Voyeurs? Okay.
Yeah.
I'll write that down.
Yeah, give me the next one we do, Jim. Give us your review.
Yeah.
Because your head will explode.
Yeah, she's super hot. Cool. Well, thank you, Nathan, for joining us on this end of the year kind of thing, and hopefully we'll see what happens in the new year. We'll regroup and see what's doing. Big shout out to our friends in New Jersey too. If you're in the area, come hang with us tomorrow, Friday. We'll all be at Dingbats in Clifton. We do our annual get together, the three of us, just hanging out there with everybody, having some drinks, some bands playing. So that's tomorrow night. We get started around 8:00. Yep, Clifton, New Jersey.
Thank you, Carmel, for being a member 7 months. Nice.
Jangles. Scott in South Carolina. Hope you all have a Merry Christmas, wonderful New Year. Here's to a rockin' 2024.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it, Scott.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all we know. What's up, lads?
That stores here in Stockholm.
Wow.
Sort of band Death Stars here in Stockholm.
I wonder if they just opened up over there.
Yeah, I don't know. I've not heard of Death Stars, but I don't know if our friend here who sent us this has been sick for a while or what. But yeah, I doubt they just started doing shows there again.
No. Sweden was the one country that didn't lock down.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that's probably just his first show since. But that's great. That's awesome, man. Merry Christmas, guys. It's almost time for the cruise. Yeah. Brian, March 2nd through the 7th.
Yeah.
Montserrat cruise going out of Tampa.
Ryan Hartley is Chad Stewart's fluffer on the road for Faster Pussycat.
Okay.
Yeah, there have been a lot of people that told me to do a concert like that every year, and the problem is, not only would it kill me and everybody that worked on it, but you're not going to get that kind of goodwill from people if you do it every year. It's like, people stepped up and did that because it was a landmark amount of years. If I hit everybody up like, hey, well, you want to come out for my 41st year in radio party? It's kind of like, at that point they're going to tell me to go to hell. But there could be an idea to do like a yearly event that would be framed a little differently. Who knows? I've thought about it, but I just don't have the time to, like, even though I had great people helping me, it still took a lot out of me. There's still people recovering, myself included, from that party. I heard about this Lee Kerslake doc and I want to see it. I don't know where I can see it. Is it on? I think it's on YouTube. I think somebody might have told me it's on YouTube.
Oh yeah, I want to see that.
Thank you, Tara. Yeah, we had a great time. Thank you for coming. Yeah, there's some great documentaries out there that I can't wait to watch, hopefully over the holiday break.
Have a great Merry Christmas, Don, Jim, and Eddie. Eddie, I'm calling your show on Wednesday.
All right. Why just Wednesday? Why not tomorrow, Monica? I'm on tomorrow too. So call anytime. Thank you.
Larry's like, Eddie, are you hearing anything on Rage and if they resume the tour? Zach has to be healed by now.
Yeah, well, if they didn't I heard he fell again. He fell and everything's like now.
All right, Larry, it's funny that you ask me this because I was in LA last weekend and I went to dinner, a huge dinner with probably 25 people. Penelope Spheris was there. Dee Snider was there. D.B. Weiss, co-creator of Game of Thrones, was there. Richie Kotzen was there. Jerry Cantrell was there. And it was all headed by Tom Morello, who is a good friend and put the whole thing together with Dan Weiss. And they were nice enough to invite me. And Morello came in and I said to him, hey, what's going on with your band? And he just went, hell if I know. I said, are you going to play again or are you going to reschedule? He's like, kind of often the last one to know here, man. So there is nothing imminent. I mean, that could change any minute, but it definitely didn't seem like anything was imminent. And the other thing with Rage is, of course, they just went into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the only rock act that actually went into the Hall of Fame this year. But the thing there is, what was really crazy was I texted Tom the day of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction, and I said, hey, man, congratulations. I'm glad you're going in. Have a great night tonight. Hope it all goes well. I said, are you guys going to play or what? And he goes, thanks. And he goes, don't think I'm going to be playing because I'm the only one here. So nobody else from Rage Against the Machine even showed up, let alone play at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So I don't know any of the other three guys besides Tom, but what's going on there is hard to figure because they left a whole European tour on the table too.
Yeah, and a bunch of U.S. dates too. Look, I saw it twice, the 5 shows at the Garden. I saw it 2 times. I knew, okay, this is probably the last time I'm seeing them, so I was good. Then the other one we should touch on is Aerosmith because they went down hard in 23, starting this huge farewell tour, and then after 3 days having to shut it down. And Tyler is still healing. And the rumor I'm hearing now is that they will resume and shoot for August to make up those dates. And a couple other things on that front. So Tyler does a charity thing every year called Janie's Fund for abused kids. And it happens every time around the Grammys. And I was on a conference call about that yesterday because they were hitting me up about helping out with some things. And Steven usually always sings at that. And he's not going to be able to sing at it because of him. He physically hurt himself. But he's probably going to play drums, I guess. And they're starting to push that out there now. But the Black Crowes, who are Aerosmith's opening band, are going to play at the Janie's Fund event. The Crows are also playing around the Super Bowl in Vegas, not at it, but around it. And lastly, the Black Crowes, I heard their new record, which is coming out in 24, and it's fantastic. Really?
Yeah, it's really, really good.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
I'm going to predict right now the Aerosmith thing will never happen. That's my prediction. I hope I'm wrong, but that's my prediction. I'm good with bands coming back from retirement. We'll see how I do with Aerosmith coming back from whatever's going on, but I think it's done.
Yeah, I mean that's another year out of their lives where they're already in their 70s. So,
but the only thing is, I would say it's 50-50 because of the dynamic in that band. But the only thing is if you think about it, I mean, they put a huge stage in production that's just sitting there that they paid for. It's a huge loss. So I've heard that they really do want to do it. Steven's injury is very legitimate, and that if he can sing, then because these people I talked to you about his charity, I asked him, well, just have Steven call in and promote it. He doesn't even like to talk right now. He wants to really try to rest up and be able to do this. So we'll see. I hope they can finish it off too. I didn't get to one of those first 2 or 3 shows, but I hope they can put a button on an amazing history, amazing career.
All right. Should we wrap it up with some plugs?
Band? Yeah. What's the band that's going to come back, Don? What do you pick from a band that has not been active? Yes. Rest in peace to Lars's father, Torben. Yeah. I talked about that on the radio today.
95 years old.
Hear that. I'm putting Twisted Sister in the mix for 2024.
I agree with you 100%.
Yeah. And I still got Slayer. I still got Slayer on track for 2025. I don't know if it'll be a tour, but there will be Slayer music a show. This is not inside information I got from Kerry, so don't go running with that. It's just my feeling. It's my intuition. But definitely Twisted Sister in 2024. Count on it.
What about Bon Jovi? Do they come back?
They're going to do a whole giant tour in 2024. Yep.
With Richie?
No.
All right, we'll see.
Don't you have like a crystal ball in front of him?
Yeah, I know.
Like a big hood and cape on or something.
That's all I got left. Hey, look at me. I'll be in Nashville. The last show at this wonderful venue called Wind Down. Nobody more appropriate to shut down a venue than me. So
that place is great, man. I'm going to miss that place.
Yeah. Jim and I played there so many times. New Year's Eve. So go to winddownnashville.com. We'll see you there. It's the affordable New Year's Eve in Nashville. And I'm on the road with Hookers and Blow. You might have seen a picture before. They were all at Eddie's concert on that Monday. Dizzy Reed and Alex Grassi and everybody.
What, Eddie's birthday party?
Did Dizzy come to my anniversary? He RSVP'd. I didn't see him. Was he there?
He was there. And I
never saw him. Another guy I never saw.
Yep. And so they were like, why don't you come out on the road with us for old time's sake? Now that he's done with his little side project, Guns and whatever, we're going to do the real touring with Hookers and Blow. So I'll be on the shows with them in Vegas and Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and Salt Lake City and whatever. But be out with those guys.
Very cool. Great rock and roll band. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Real quick, as far as off the top of my head, January 12th, I'm in Houston hosting Mr. Big's first U.S. show of their final run, and also Rock Island, which I host every year, coming up in January as well at Key West. So that's the immediate stuff for January. So looking forward to seeing everybody there.
I'll see you there.
I'll be in Rochester, New York, and Saratoga Springs, New York in January. And me and Don are going to be in Cleveland, Ohio, and Columbus, Ohio in February. All dates on my website, jimflorentine.com.
All right.
And keep your eyes peeled.
Wishing everybody a very Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, all of that. Keep an eye on our socials. We'll let you know when we're going to come and rejoin you guys and hang out here for a bit and shoot the shit. So thank you for joining us on That Rocks. Thanks.
And Eddie, happy birthday, your 40th birthday.
August 8th. Does this look 40? I wish.
Mine's August 18th.
I was 40. I wish. I had a lot more hair, a lot more handsome, a lot less wrinkles. See you guys.
See you later, everybody.
All right, we'll see you guys.